Hi, so let's talk about chemicals and the compound effect. Chemicals, toxins, and pollutants are everywhere, and we are constantly exposed to them throughout our everyday lives. And this has become to be known as the compound effect. There's too much research available detailing the rising rates of cancer since the 1990s. You may know someone who has died related to cancer, or gratefully a cancer survivor, or the rise of chronic disease these days. I mean, it's become so common that anybody can be impacted by either cancer or chronic disease. But is this okay? Is this by coincidence? And it bothers me that we now see more cases of cancer in adults under the age of 50 and even in our kids. Prevalence is higher in industrialized countries such as the US. We are the sickest and we spend the most on healthcare than any other country. Some key points to note include the spike in overly processed foods with additives, chemicals, and dyes on our shelves, more eating out, poor cooking methods, and more people are drinking alcohol, and even at younger ages, smoking, including cigarettes and hookah, vaping, and all the chemicals they use in those products. People on average are sleeping less, and reports suggest that those who even report getting sleep, they're not getting good REM sleep, so they still aren't rested. Kids are sleeping less and less, with no priority on bedtime, the school demands, and then there's this late night gaming and electronic use. And we are all less active than our ancestors. Let's just say, put it out there. We spend more time indoors, less time outdoors, less time walking. And it's a pain to find interesting exercise, right? With all of that, our health has been impacted. Over time, it has now contributed to the changes in our gut microbiome and inherently our body's functioning. That's why we see more chronic disease. There's a new term also called the birth cohort effect, which shows that these changes can manifest in later generations. So a mother's poor decisions can ignite gene expressions that manifest in her offspring and then their offspring. So talk about a generational curse. Let me also mention, though, however, that genes are not our destiny, and more research now proves that. Now back to chemicals and why that's important. In the US alone, there's over 80,000 known chemicals out there. They are used in our processed foods, our skincare products, healthcare products, cleaning products, oral care products, laundry detergents, literally everything that we use. And the loopholes allows companies to bypass FDA regulations, and they can't possibly manage and cover everything. So many of these chemicals are known to be dangerous, and yet still they're used in our products. It's a money thing. If you buy it, they'll sell it. Pharmaceuticals aren't as closely regulated as we think either. So many of our drugs and supplements and vitamins are all sourced in other countries, but regardless of where they're coming from, they too are contaminated with chemicals and toxins, and they're foreign, so oftentimes the body is not really sure what to do with it, and they're not always fully metabolized and excreted. This further impacts our gut microbiome, and when the gut bugs aren't working properly, toxins and crap is building up inside of you. So next, there's pollution, which everybody knows our ozone layer is severely damaged by pollution and toxic gases and emissions from factories, burning of fossil fuels, way more cars on the road anywhere you go these days. The air we breathe is contaminated, and we spend way more time indoors somewhere relying on an HVAC system, the heat and the air conditioning. And some of these systems can be contaminated with mold, and they're not properly filtered all the time. People aren't changing their air filters as regularly as they need to. And then there's carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide, which are both dangerous and cancerous. And now we have people walking around all day in masks. And that can mean you're rebreathing carbon dioxide, which is not good. The water is contaminated. Local water sources have been found to have higher amounts of nitrogen, antibiotics, pesticides, drugs, such as NSAIDs like your ibuprofen, Aleve, contaminated in them. And then there's radioactive contaminants also found in water. And this is even after it's been filtered, which is super scary. So now you're probably thinking, my goodness, we are doomed. It's everywhere. There's no use in trying to avoid it. We all got to die somehow, right? But let me remind you of how precious you are. We need you. And you deserve to give your body a better chance at doing what it does for you. The human body is resilient, and when given what it needs, it is capable of functioning optimally. So while, yeah, we are all going to die one day from one cause or another, you don't have to contribute to that suffering or speed it up. And you don't have to become the next victim of cancer or chronic disease and end up on a ton of tainted medications either. Some simple tips excuse me, to cut down on and limit your exposure would be to read your labels on everything you choose to purchase. Know where your products are coming from. If you can't pronounce it, then you might want to check into what it is before putting it on yourself. My house is almost chemical free, and I know it may drive my family nuts, but I make my own skincare products, my own deodorant, my own hair care products, and the few things that I do still choose to buy, I research where they come from. I choose those with all natural components, like shea butter. It's raw, nothing added. I can go for that. I use a water filter for all types of water, from cooking to drinking to cleaning throughout my house. I try to get out in nature as much, so I encourage you to do the same thing. I advise getting up with the sunrise. Let it shine on you and embrace being in nature. I know with our busy schedules and depending on where you live, this can be tough, but just trying to get outside more. Sit on your porch for 20 minutes. Park far in the parking lot and then walk to the door. Challenge yourself. Find ways to be active. Get up from your chair every 30 minutes to an hour for at least 2 to 3 minutes and move, shake, squat, stretch, whatever you want to do, but just move. Get a good water filter. Leave the bottled water alone unless you know and trust the source, and get some good quality sleep. Limit your electronic use and learn more about EMFs and how it can impact the body. We can't get away from the exposure entirely. We can't survive in a bubble. So it's best you focus on what you do have control over. You can choose what you put in and on your body. You control what you do to strengthen your body and its ability to fight and function for you. Boost your immunity. Practice good hand hygiene. I know I just coughed in my hand not too long ago, but hey, I'm human. These are just some simple things that you can do. Try to remember, take care of you. Share your comments, your questions, your concerns, your tips even down at the bottom of this video. Let me know what it is I can do to help inspire you in your health and wellness. And until next time, stay well.